Here's to the crazy ones, the misfits, the rebels, the troublemakers, the round pegs in the square holes, the ones who see things differently. They're not fond of rules. You can quote them, disagree with them, glorify or vilify them, but the only thing you can't do is ignore them because they change things. They push the human race forward. And while some may see them as the crazy ones, we see genius, because the ones that are crazy enough to think that they can change the world are the ones who do. Now, of course, that's from Steve Jobs in 1997. And could you imagine for just a second, a world without Steve Jobs, or a world without Apple? Most of us love our Apple devices. Most of us, whether you're or not, can appreciate what the man has done. And what this video is all about is how to handle people who hate on you when you're striving for your goals, striving for your dreams. This video is all about how to handle people that are laughing at you. And before we get too deep into this video, there's a couple things that we have to understand as to why people laugh at others, criticize others, ridicule others when people strive for greatness. Understanding why will help you understand how do you deal with the people who hate on what it is that you're trying to accomplish. So let's jump right into it. Number one, when you leave the herd won't like it. Brandon, what do you mean? Number one thing you have to understand when dealing with haters, or dealing with people who are naysayers, people that are laughing or criticizing you behind your back when you're striving for greatness, the number one thing you have to understand is be aware of crabs. So if you don't know, how fishermen catch crabs is this. I'm going to kind of walk you through how this whole process works. So this is a diagram of water, okay? So this is the ocean. Under the ocean, they drop down a crab trap. And how they do it is they have bait that is at the bottom of their crab trap. And crabs will walk into the trap to eat the bait, of course. That probably makes a lot of sense. Well, what happens when all of the bait, and I'll grab my eraser right here, when all of the bait goes away, and there is no more bait, the crabs are in the trap. And here's the interesting thing that happens with crabs. As crabs try to exit the trap, the other crabs, or the herd, will do anything in their power to stop them from being able to escape. So much so that these other crabs will go as far as ripping off a claw, ripping off both claws. And if one crab is motivated enough, the other crabs will kill that crab in order to not let this crab escape from the herd. Sound familiar? It should. The same thing happens in our society. You see, in our herd, in our society, we've been conditioned to follow the herd, to follow what society has told us to do for many, many years, and that is grow up, go get a good education, go get a good job, follow the status quo, don't challenge things, don't try to leave and start a business, don't try to leave and do something that's different because the herd won't like it. And in our lives, your friends and family and people that they're not going to rip off your arms or rip off your legs or necessarily kill you. However, what they will do is talk behind your back. They will laugh at your ideas. They will tell you you're crazy, you're going to fail, and they will do everything they can to tell you why your idea or why what you're doing is absolutely crazy. And as I deal with this in my own life, as I grow Brookstone Realtors and grow this 100% commission company, a lot of people don't like it. A lot of broker owners in the industry are laughing at me right now, telling me how this model or this idea is stupid, and it's okay. And what this video is all about, and maybe you're in your life trying to start a new business. Maybe you got into real estate and your friends and family can't understand it. Maybe you left your corporate job to be an entrepreneur and you're getting laughed at. Well, in this video, you're going to learn a lot about why people do what it is that they do. Well, here's a laundry list of people in our lives that have been laughed at. Oprah, Arnold Schwarzenegger. So when Arnold left his hometown to come to the United States to be a world champion bodybuilder, he was laughed at. He was criticized. When he told his friends, family, colleagues that he was going to be a famous actor, he was laughed at. He was criticized. Arnold laughed all the way to the bank because at one time he was the highest paid actor in the world. He did the same thing when he ran for governor, and he was laughed all the way into office. And the list goes on. Abe Lincoln, Mark Zuckerberg, Jeff Bezos, Albert Einstein, Larry King, Rosa Parks, Steve Jobs, Martin Luther King Jr., Bill Gates, Warren Buffett, Hilary Swank, and the list goes on and on and on. These are all people that were laughed at when they started fighting for their dreams. And so let this be proof. Let this be proof that if people are laughing at you, that you're probably doing the right thing. You're challenging the status quo. You're challenging what society believes that you should be doing. Now, the next question is why? Why do people criticize you when you try to leave the herd? Why do people laugh at you and talk behind your back as you're fighting for your goals? And that's really what this video is really all about. So the first reason why they do that is something that we call the mirror effect. The mirror effect. And so here's how this whole thing works. So the mirror effect, when you leave the herd, when you start a new business, when you do something that challenges the status quo, when you do something that's different that your industry is not used to, what you're doing at that very, very moment is, and people tend to get very threatened, and here's why. The mirror turns to themselves, and they start to think of all the reasons why they didn't take action on their great idea. It starts to turn inward on their insecurities, saying, wow, look at her starting this new business. It's the mirror right on themselves and their own insecurities, and it's exposing that to the world. And instead of dealing with those insecurities on their own, they turn outward and attack you because you're doing what it is that they were not willing to do. So they weren't willing to start the business. They weren't willing to take risks. They weren't willing to challenge the status quo. They weren't willing to start the new real estate model that people told them that they were so stupid for doing. The mirror effect says that mirror goes back on themselves. And so the first thing that you have to understand as we look at, why are people so obsessed with hating on people that are trying to do great things? Understand it comes from a place of insecurity, because as they see people elevate, the mirror goes right back on their own insecurities. So that's number one. The next thing is when somebody is elevating or trying to reach for greatness, they don't have the courage or the strength, or they don't have, they're not being as brave as you are taking action. So in return, like the mirror effect, because they're not as brave, it's so much easier for them to follow the status quo, stay at their corporate job, not start the business, make fun of you behind your back. That is so much easier for them to be brave themselves, to put themselves out there, to reach for greatness. It's much easier to stay with the herd and make fun of you, hoping and praying that you fail. That's what they want. Why do they want you to fail? It's not that people really want harm for you. That's not really what's happening. The reason they want you to fail is that the mirror goes away. When you fail at something after they've ridiculed you, after they've laughed at you, it takes the mirror off of themselves and it goes back to you. And it makes them say, see, I knew it. That was not the right thing. I'm glad I stayed at my job. I'm glad I didn't start the new business. I knew that was a stupid idea. So that is why they want you to fail, so they can feel better about themselves. So hopefully that makes sense. Now that we've talked about why it is that they do what they do, let's talk about how you deal with the people in your life that are either hating on your new business venture, or hating on your new idea, or hating on the fact that you're challenging the status quo. Number one is you must define success as it relates to what it means to you. What does success mean to you? Not to anybody else. Is it money? Is it time? Is it a way of life? Is it accomplishing something that maybe your family has never accomplished before? What does success mean to you as the person? And getting super, super clear on that. You see, when I sit down with a real estate agent in my business and I ask them, hey, what do you want? What does success mean to you? Rarely do I find somebody that can define success clearly and to being able to define exactly what it means. So number one, as you leave this video today, define what success means for you, not for your parents, not for your spouse, not for your friends, not for your industry. What does success mean for you? And then number two is don't allow people's own insecurities. Don't let people's their own insecurities try to influence what success means to you. So what people try and do is you define success, which is great. Then people's own insecurities, like we just talked about, they're going to try everything they can. They're like the crab, cutting off the crab's leg, chewing off the crab's arm, killing the crab. They're going to try everything in their power to try and influence you why what you define success to be, why you can't do it. Why? Because they are not brave enough to do it. That mirror is right on their own insecurities. So number two is don't allow other people's insecurities to influence your motivation, your desires, your dreams, your goals, because all that they're doing when they hate on you, when they laugh at you, when they try to express negativity towards you, just know inside that is their way of expressing to you that they are so insecure about what they're not able to do with their own life. So as I leave you in this video today, just know the further you push yourself in life, the further you strive to attain goals, the further you strive to push the status quo, to try new things, the world is going to hate on you. The world is going to try to influence you and tell you why you shouldn't do what it is you're trying to do. Don't listen to it. Don't let their own insecurities. Remember the mirror effect. It's just their own insecurities coming out. And so I hope today's mastery session has helped you push forward. Push for the things that you care about most. Push for the things that matter to you and your family the most, regardless of people that hate on you. And take this away as the last thing I'll leave you with. When people, and they will, when the herd laughs at you, when the herd ridicules you for going for your dreams, let that be evidence, concrete evidence that you are doing the right thing. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you guys next week.